Hi, audience. Parul here. After a while, I was in break for summer holiday in the UK. So I have an interesting guest today, very well known to the industry. Her name is Shara Lewis-Campbell. Shara, welcome to my channel, Boost Your
Thank you,
Confidence
Prue.
Academy, Life and Leadership Coaching. And thank you very much for your time. Yes, so today we'll be talking about writer's block. Shara is a co-owner of Beauty and the Beast Publishing, is a well-known company and they serve globally. And I want you to hear directly from Shara herself who she is and what they do. Over to you, Shara. Tell us a bit
Thank you.
about yourself and about your company to our audience.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you so much for having me as well, Prue. It's a real great honor actually to be here and be in this shared space with you again. So it's nice to be here. So thank you for that. So as you mentioned, my name is Shara Lewis-Campbell, and I am part co-founder of Beauty and the Beast Publishing, which I'm very proud to say is now an international multi-award winning book publishing and media services company. So yes, it's me in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Great. So, Shara, tell us about, lots of people have passion to write, but there is always something hold them back. Tell us a bit about, for those people actually holding themselves back, what's the consequence of not following their passion going into writing?
I think that they would end up in a very, very similar path from myself, before I got to where I am today. And I can really relate, with writers that are trying to break into the industry, wanting to have that, they believe that they've got a great story to tell, but are struggling, to make it or to believe in themselves, as it were. Believe it or not, before I became the co-founder of Beauty and the Beast Publishing, prior to that, at least 20 years prior to that, or even more, I was writing in secret for 20 years. You would have thought that we were back in the Stone Ages where we weren't allowed to write, that was me in secret, writing and not letting anybody know about it. I would say when I was at school, it was my strongest subject. And every time I wrote a piece, my tutor would always read it out in front of the whole class. And whilst I got some satisfaction from that to know that I was very good at doing that work, it didn't give me any inspiration about being an author. I didn't have that confidence. I just knew that I was good at the subject, but I'd always wanted to be an author because I'd always read. And what I found is that years later, I still had this burning desire, no matter what else I did in my career, which was nothing author related or publishing related. I would still be writing and doodling and even creating other businesses, other creative businesses, I would say, but never in what I was doing now. So there born that frustration. And then I would find myself, visiting Australia for the very first time in 2016. And that gave me the compulsion. And I said, I had studied, my craft. I had become qualified in the on paper, but I just didn't have any life experience, so being able to sort of go away and gain that. And then once I had done my first trip, which was soon after finishing my second degree, I decided that, right, I'm going to actually use this now and become the author that I'd always wanted to be. I never thought I'd become a book publisher, but I'm so glad that I did.
Well, first of all, Shara, thank you very much. And thank you for sharing, your story. 20 years as a secret writer. That's, and, to audience, if you have a passion and you are a secret writer, please do come out because you never know what's life's ahead giving you. Look at Shara. She is now, or her company is an international company, serving hundreds of people with their writing story. And we'll give Shara's details later throughout our interview. We'll be talking about how you can overcome challenges and how you can follow your passion. Shara, you also mentioned about young when you're in school and you were very passionate about, and I can relate that to myself. When I was in school, I used to read one book a night. So, and then I think when I start working, things changed. But whenever I think the important thing is when you realize, get on with it. Yes,
That's right.
if you feel you wasted 10, 20 years, but you still got time, so don't give
That's
up.
right. That's
Time
right. I
is,
completely agree. Yeah.
yes, time is there. So never think, oh, I've
Yes.
wasted all this time, not done anything.
Mm.
You still
No.
got a passion, go for it.
That's right. I was honing my craft, and I completely get what you're saying about reading a book a night. When I was a youngster, and I always say this, Pearl, and I so thank you for even bringing it up and raising it. I remember as a child, at the age of 8, my stepfather discovered that I could read very, very quickly. And because I didn't have much responsibilities then, I would just sail through these books and I would read 2 or 3 a day, and even if not so much now, but back in before I even had the business, if I had a good book, the whole world stopped until I finished reading this book, and it would take me several hours and then I would get back on with life. It's my
Absolutely.
favorite pastime is to read. Yeah.
Oh, we got something common, Sarah.
Yes.
I had the same thing until I finished. I can't sleep. I couldn't put my
That's right. Yeah.
eyes closed. Okay.
It's nice to know that years later, people now say that about my books that I write. They say, "Oh, I couldn't put the book down." That's been brilliant.
Great. Now, let's give our audience some tips from your
Mhm,
experience.
mhm.
Now, I know you got lots of tips, but can you share your top 5 tips for those people who are writing or who want to write? Your best top tips for those people.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that consistency pays. So you have to be consistent with your desires, just like myself and like you mentioned, at the end of the day, there may be the possibility that, you may not have all the, plans in place of how you're going to actually execute this. But by myself actually staying the course and writing really paid off for me, and as I say, it was me just honing my craft. I still 20 years later wouldn't call myself an expert, but what I would say, because I'm always growing and learning and developing, I don't want to think that I know everything, that there's no space. I find that quite boring, I think. So, staying the course, being consistent, learning as much as you can about your craft, doing workshops and just learning as much as you can will put you really, really in good stead ahead of other writers, that are not being their authentic selves, as it were, and just carbon copying other authors that they've read about or that they know have it done exceedingly well. That's what kills the actual industry. So keep making sure that you're original and learning as much as you can as you're learning your craft. I would also suggest as well that just having that self-belief and confidence, within yourself. Pay no attention to the naysayers. There's lots of us within the industry, but there is also room for all of us, and plenty others, which is why we do what we do. We want to learn from our other industry folks, that are within the industry. And I would say 3 would be to take time out periodically throughout your work and look at your craft, reflect on how far you've come, since you've been starting this journey. And I've found in my own experience, I'm writing my 10th book at the moment, and I've found that every book that I've written has taken on a whole life and a whole journey on its own. So it's nice to be able to reflect on that, because we're so busy writing and getting on with the next day that we don't sort of look back to see, not all the way back, but just to look as far back to see how we progressed, with each book or each milestone that you've made, which is very important. And it also gives you an appreciation as well for the work that you're doing, and keeps you in a state of sort of gratitude as well, which is very, very important, so that you can shape and create the world around you. And I think that's something that you do very, very well, Parul, in your day-to-day social media as well. So you're always reflecting and showing gratitude for the things that you've learned, whether it be your property business, whether it be your vacations, or just day-to-day life with your family. I can actually follow your journey, each day of the week, and your inspiring Mondays, motivational Mondays, and then your Sundays, which is about family days. I've picked up on that journey and learned so much from what you do as well. So, and being able to incorporate. So it's that kind of reflection that I'm referring to. And then I think that no business is complete without a good marketing and promotional plan, for the future. And that should be something that's constantly looked at on a day-to-day basis. And it's something that you need to look at in terms of growth and projection, and forecasting as well. It's very, very important if you're running a business, ensuring that your costs are kept low, and that your projections are as much as they can be, for the future. And I don't think that any dream is too small. If you're dreaming big and you feel very uncomfortable about it, then I think that's a really, really good place to be in, because it gives you so much to sort of work towards. And I think that last but not least, I would definitely say that, you should be surrounding yourself with people that are aligned to yourself, to what you're doing, to your thought process, just their own perspectives, that they share similar perspectives with you, and have a really good circle and a good team or network around you that you can draw from for inspiration. Because when you're building these businesses, it can sometimes be a very, very lonely experience. I mean, we've all got great businesses, but there's small businesses as well. And we are sort of like the foundation of the country, but I don't think that we get the acknowledgement that we deserve at times. And if you consider us in comparison to some of the larger companies like IBM and Apple and Facebook even, and some of these social networks, we don't really compare, so it's really important that we have a solid network around us that we can draw on for inspiration, and have moments like this as well, where we can share learning with other people that we may not even have met yet, but that may listen to this podcast and be inspired, to continue on their journeys.
Thank you very much, Shara. That's
You're
really
welcome.
good tips. Couple of points I just want to pick up. I think one of the first point you mentioned about consistency, which is absolutely necessary for anything in life.
Yeah.
Whether it's business or career or homemaking.
Mhm.
You talked about also about not to let your dream die.
That's
Is
right.
so crucial. I have
Mhm.
friends who started following their dream after 65, after they retire, because
Yeah.
they were too busy working for other people, building
Yes,
somebody else's business. And when
that's
I
right.
see them, it's so inspiring.
Mhm.
So that's really crucial. That never let your dream die. Follow on your
Correct.
passion dream. You also talked about, and which I also advocate about, is all about other people. Surround yourself with positive people who are going to
Yes.
inspire you, because that's so crucial, because that's how we help ourselves towards positivity, towards growth. and
That's
and
right.
we've seen lots of friends and family who always want to pull you down, because that's where they are. So they want
Yes.
you to be in their position, not what you want to be. So it's really important to deduct those friends and family from your life.
Mhm.
You might not spend, you can't divorce your family, but you can spend less time, limit your time.
That's
But you can divorce
definitely.
your friends if they're not serving you, because
That's
they are
right.
your friend. Limit yourself how much time you
That's
spend
right.
with them.
I mean, you'd be very surprised as well that people that you've known all your life,
Yeah,
family members, people that you've always admired, don't respect you or share that same vision with you because
yeah,
it's uncomfortable for them, or it reminds them of what they're not doing and they don't have that belief. And it's okay for them to have those opinions, but it's not something that you can surround yourself with 24 hours a day. You've just got to learn to kind of focus on what you're doing and love those people from a distance, I think is probably
absolutely,
the best
absolutely.
idea.
Love them from distance. Great point.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so Sarah, my final question to you is, if you
Mhm.
were to leave your final thoughts with our audience, what that would be?
I think that every individual that's here today in life, past, present, during, and thereafter, we all have a very, very vital responsibility to ensure that two things, that we are being the best that we can be, best versions of ourselves, and we need to take what that best potential that we've become and pass on those learnings to other people that don't have those skills within the world, in order to make the world a better place. So my question would be and I ask myself, I'm no different from anybody else, and I ask myself this, and I think it's something we should all ask ourselves. Based on that theory, how are we showing up?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great question. How are we showing up?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. So, in
You're
terms of
welcome.
people who want to get in touch with you,
Mhm.
Beauty and Beast Publishing, what's the best way to contact you?
I think the best way to contact us is through the website. So it's www.beautyandthebeastpublishing.net. And we are also available on all the social media networks, all the major ones. So Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, my favorite, and Facebook, TikTok, all of them. We're on all of them.
And what's the
So
name
you can
of those pages?
Yep. So on those pages, you can either contact myself, which is either on LinkedIn, it's s.lewis-campbell, which is my author's name. And on every other platform, it will be a variation of S. Lewis Campbell or Shara LC. That's how you'll find me. Or if you just put Beauty and the Beast Publishing in, we'll come up on the Google search.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, keep doing what you're doing, Sarah. It's great
Thank
work,
you.
and thank you for publishing my book and my son's book as well.
Oh, you're
You
most
know,
welcome. Oh.
as a first time kind of independent writer, it was really good to
Yeah.
have my own book.
Yeah.
Not just co-authoring other people. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, you're most welcome. And
And
I'm
I
so,
always talk about
these
your
are
service
great
to other
books.
people as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think you've got two great books there, and I encourage anyone to read them. And I love your son's book and you being the inspiration behind him, even being a writer, a young writer. And, I wish you every success with those publications. And thank you so much for having me as well. I
Oh,
really
thank you,
appreciate it.
Sarah. Yeah, so audience, stay tuned. There will be more videos coming up with different subject. We always try to bring you inspirational information, uplifting quotes, and uplifting things that will help you to move forward with your dream and to follow your dream. So never ever give up your dream. Stay tuned.